Assalamu alaikum. I'm OS Sheikh, and in today's class, we would be discussing the topic demand. In today's class, our agenda is to discuss the definition of demand, to discuss the demand curve itself, and how to calculate the total revenue from the demand curve, the market demand, and the changes in the demand curve. In the previous classes, in the previous live classes, we have already discussed these topics. I'm just giving you a brief review of this topic so that you can attempt some past paper questions from it. Okay. So what basically is demand? Demand is the willingness and ability of an individual to consume a good or a service. Okay, so if I ask you what is want, what is actually your want? Wants are the desires, right? Wants are the desires, or in other words, they are your willingness, right? So, what is the difference between your wants and your demand? The main difference between these two is the ability to buy it. The ability to buy it. What if, like, I'm just giving you an example. Let's say I have like 30,000 rupees to purchase a cell phone, and I'm also willing to buy it. Then that is my demand. Then that would be my demand because I am willing and I am also able to buy it. Are you getting it? When a person has money and he is also willing to buy a good or a service, then that means that good would be his demand. And if I'm only willing to buy it but I'm not able to buy it, then that means it is my want. Are we getting the difference between want and the demand? Okay, let's move on. So want is just the willingness, and demand is equals to willingness and your ability. If you are able to consume something and you're willing to consume something, then that means that is your demand. And if you're only willing to buy something or consume something and you are not able to buy it or get it or consume it, then that is your want. Are we clear on this topic? Okay. So our next topic would be a relation between the demand and price. If the prices increase, if a price of a commodity increase, the quantity demand of that commodity would always decrease. Basically होता ये है कि let's say कि अगर if I say कि prices of car has increased, तो उसकी वजह से क्या होगा कि उसकी quantity demand would decrease. सही है. और अगर प्राइस ऑफ कार वुड डिक्रीज तो उसकी क्वांटिटी डिमांड क्या हो जाएगी, इंक्रीज हो जाएगी मार्केट के अंदर. ये ऑटोमेटिकली ये जनरल रूल है. लाइक किसी भी नॉर्मल गुड की अगर बात करी जाए कि फॉर एग्जांपल अगर किसी सेल फोन की बात करी जाए, अगर किसी भी सेल फोन के प्राइस इंक्रीज हो जाते हैं मार्केट के अंदर तो उसकी डिमांड डिक्रीज हो जाती है. और अगर किसी भी सेल फोन के प्राइस या किसी भी नॉर्मल गुड के प्राइस मार्केट के अंदर अगर डिक्रीज हो जाए तो अचानक से क्या होता है, उसकी quantity demand it starts increasing. So there is a negative relationship. That means if one variable is increasing, so the other variable is decreasing. Are you getting it? So there is a negative relation or inverse relation between demand and price. If the price would rise, so the demand would decrease, and if the price would decrease, the demand would increase. Are we clear on this? Okay, so this further means that the demand curve would be downward sloping. The demand curve would be downward sloping because these two variables, price and quantity demanded, has a negative inverse relationship. Are we clear on this? Okay, so we have the demand curve here. Say demand curve is downward sloping. Currently the prices are 5 and the quantity which I am able to sell is, the quantity which is being demanded is 100 units. And if the price increase to, let's say, $7, now see what happens. The price has increased. The price has increased, so that means the quantity demand should decrease. See, the quantity demanded is being decreased by 30 units. Are we getting this? And what if I increase the price? And what if I increase the price? What if I decrease the price to $3? Then my quantity demanded is being increased. Let's say 140. Are we getting this? As I am decreasing the price, my quantity demand is being increased. So there is a negative relationship. If one thing is increasing, so the other thing is decreasing. There is a negative relationship. Are we getting this thing? Okay. So how to calculate the demand? How to calculate the total revenue from the demand curve? The formula is total revenue is equals to quantity demanded into selling price per unit. You will get the selling price per unit from here and the quantity demanded from here. Okay, so let's start. So initially your price was $5. Your selling price was $5, and you were and your quantity demanded was 100. So the total revenue was 500 in the first case, right? And in the second case, when your price was $7, you were able to sell how many units? Only 70 units. And in the third case, your selling price was $3 and your quantity demanded was 140 units. So your total revenue was $420. Okay, so from the exam perspective, you are supposed to write these dollars. You must write these dollars here as well. This is something very important. Okay, so are we getting it? How to calculate the total revenue from the demand curve? The formula is quite easy. Total revenue is equals to quantity demanded into selling price per unit. The quantity demanded was 100 into the selling price per unit, that was $5, and we would be getting $500. Okay, so let's move on to the market demand. So what basically is the market demand? Market demand is the total demand, is the total demand of a specific good in an economy. For example, if we talk about the demand for mobile phones in Pakistan, so there would be some demand coming from Karachi and maybe some demand coming from other cities, right? Let's say in Karachi, I was able to sell, or my demand was let's say 2000 mobile phones at the price of $500, and in other cities my price was same, and my quantity demand was, let's say, 100 units. Are we getting it? So what is basically your total demand? Your total demand would be 100 plus 2000, 2100 at the price of $500. Are we getting it? So this is your total market demand. This is the total demand of a specific good in an economy. In your syllabus area, the price would not change. The price would be constant. Only the quantity demanded would be changed. Are we getting it? So this becomes your total market demand. Okay, now let's move on to the changes in the demand curve. Changes in the demand curve can only be caused by two factors. The first one is a price factor. The first one is a price factor. Wait. The first one is the price factor, and the other one is the non-price factor. So yeah, these two factors would cause changes in the demand curve. If there is a price factors, that means there would be a movement along the curve. Are we clear on this? And if there would be non-price factors, so there would be shifts in the demand curve. If we talk about movement along the curve, so there would again be two cases. If the price increase, if the price of the product would increase, the quantity demand of the product would decrease. So this means there is a contraction. And if the prices decrease and the quantity demand increase, so that would be an extension in the demand curve. Are we getting it? Let's take an example. Price, quantity demanded. I'm just giving you example for contraction only. Okay, so demand, let's say $500. So in this case, your prices are being decreased. Let's say your new prices are $3. So if your new price is $3, your quantity, wait, the prices are being increased. My mistake, sorry. Your current price is $5 and your quantity demand is quantity demanded is 100 units. So in the case of contraction, your price has to increase. Let's say I'm increasing my price by $2, that would become $7. So as I increase the price of this product, my quantity demand would decrease to $80. Are we getting it? This is contraction. This is the case of contraction. I am currently standing here. I'm currently standing here, and I would move to this point. This is case of contraction. I am moving along the curve. I am moving. See, I'm moving along this curve. I'm not going outside. I'm not coming inside. I'm just moving along the curve. Are we clear on this? Okay. So let's start with shifts in the demand curve. There would be two cases in the shifts. Either your demand curve would move inward, that means leftward, or it would move outward, or it would shift outward. सही है? In the inward shift, your quantity demanded would be decreased, and in the outward shift, your quantity demand would increase. सही है? These shifts would be caused due to the non-price factor. Let's make a demand curve for this case. Demand curve. Demand is moving outward, D1, and demand is coming inward, D dash. सही है? Whenever it moves outward, it becomes D1, and whenever it comes inward, this becomes D dash. Are we clear on this? Okay. So when we were discussing movement along the curve, we had a clear idea that only prices can cause the movement along the curve. Only price factor can cause the movement along the curve. If the prices would be changed, then only there would be a movement along the curve. Otherwise, there would be no movement along the curve. Okay, when we come towards the shifts in the demand curve, So there are some non-price factors. So what basically are those non-price factors which can cause the shifts in the demand curve? The factors can be the income, the factors can be your income. Let's say if your income increased, so that means your quantity demand would increase. And if your income decreased, your quantity demand would decrease. The other factor can be the taxes. For example, if the government increases the taxes on an individual, so they would be earning lesser amount. If they would earning the lesser amount, so there would be less quantity demanded. So if the taxes would increase, my quantity demanded would decrease, and if the taxes would decrease, so my quantity demanded would increase. Are we getting this? The third reason can be season. Let's say if there is a favorable season, if a favorable season for a specific good, let's say in winters jackets are demanded. So if the winter season is being going on, so that is a favorable season, so my quantity demanded for my jackets would increase. And if there is an unfavorable season, so my quantity demanded would decrease. The fourth reason can be advertisement. Basically, advertisements are done to persuade the consumers. Are you getting it? Advertisements are basically done to persuade the consumers. The more advertisements are being done, the more the consumer would be persuaded. That means the more there would be the demand of that product. Are we getting it? So if there would be heavy advertisement, so there would be more quantity demanded. If there would be a lesser advertisement, so there would be a lesser quantity demanded. Okay. Another reason can be quality of that product. If the quality of that product improves, that means the quantity demand of that product increase, and the quality worsen, the quantity demanded would decrease. I'm just giving you a small brief review of this topic demand. I'm not uh, touching all the core areas, all the basic things, and I'm not going into the deep right now. I'm just giving you an overall basic idea so that you can easily attempt your some past paper questions. Are we getting it? I'm not discussing all of them. I'm just discussing some of them. As we know that we have already written more than five non-price factors in our notebooks, but right now I'm not discussing all of them. I just need to make a short video of this topic. So I hope I made myself clear on this topic. And if you face any difficulty or if you face any trouble with this video, just message me on my personal WhatsApp. I can like help you with that. Thank you.